Howdy, folks. Steve from Dunbar Photographic. We have a new toy that I'm going to present to you, along with some image samples. I went out a couple days ago and grabbed a few shots. I wanted to do a little bit of black and white, monochrome, landscape, using my used, not brand new, new to me, but renewed Canon 24 to 105 f4 LIS. I call it the Chunky Monkey. This is my Chunky Monkey. It is a superb pieces of glass. I'm not going to go into the technical aspects. This is not a technical review or anything. I just want to show people a few images and explain why I got this. Basically, I bought this because I had a 24 to 105 EF that I was using adapted on my R6 Mark II, which is what I shot the images you're about to see on, this combination, R6 Mark II and 24 to 105L RF. So my wife is into black and white monochrome, and she wanted to shoot on the 5D Mark II. So I gave her that lens, and I bought this lens. So Christmas comes almost every day of the year. Anyway, super impressed with this lens. It is an external zoom, as you can see. It's a constant f4 aperture, which some may balk at that, but I don't have a problem with that at all. Basically, I'm going to show you a portrait shot I took of my mother. She's 92, bless her heart, still kicking butt, still going strong. And when you see this, I think you'll understand why a lot of pro photographers use this lens for fashion, portrait, glamour, all kinds of stuff. Landscape. I bought this kind of to do a lot of different work. Landscape, portrait. I will say one thing about the portrait. 105 millimeter to me, coming from shooting a lot of candids during the receptions at weddings and different times during the event, 105 is too short because, one, I don't like getting up in other people's grills. And 105, if you want a headshot, you got to get pretty close to them. And I don't like that. So I always shot with a 7200 2.8 and sometimes a 100 400L from across the room. The advantage to that, and I'm not going to get too deep into that, the advantage to that is, to me, a candid is something that you take when they don't even know you're taking it. You get the best expressions if they don't know you're there. The only way to do that is to do that with a long lens, a long focal length. This won't cut it for that. But, of course, for a general portrait, 70 to 100 millimeter, 85 millimeter, yeah, and this was shot, the image I shot of my mother was done at 105 millimeter. So at f4. All of the images you're going to see were shot at f4. I wanted to shoot it wide open to see if things really fell apart and degraded. Like I said, not a scientific review. It does have a couple buttons, a couple switches on here. It does have a lock switch to lock the focus, not the focus, the zoom. It has an autofocus and manual focus switch, and image stabilizer basically is on or off. Of course, this is not like you're not going to really be shooting birds in flight with this unless you're 6 feet away. So it doesn't offer different image stabilizing modes. I will say the image stabilizer on this, I think it's rated at 5 stops. I can't confirm that, but paired with the R6 Mark II, it's terrifying. It's really, really good. And all of these shots, except for the water shots, were shot handheld. The water shots were shot on a tripod, which I screwed up because I only got one satisfactory usable image, and it was luck. Because if I'm on the tripod, I want to shut the image stabilization off. So what I think was happening was it was struggling. It was fighting. So you really want to shut that off if you're on a tripod. Same rule as going all the way back. So I kind of boboed that one. But I did get a really nice shot, and I think you'll see the detail is quite stunning for a zoom. I will say a lot of people refer to this as a kit lens, and I can understand that because it was offered in kit form along when you buy a camera, one of the cameras. However, this is a true L lens. There is nothing non-L about this. This is very solid feeling. The zoom, it's a very tight lens, an incredibly smooth lens. The one thing I love about this lens is where the zoom ring, the manual focus ring, and the control ring are placed. The control ring is placed right at the end, which is great because I use this for ISO adjustment on the fly. Fantastic. Easy to find. Of course, it's very compact and very small. I mean, this thing is tiny. Look at this. This is crazy. I cannot believe how small these RF lenses are. It's just amazing. And the quality, the glass, the sharpness, the resolution, dynamic range, flipping dynamite on these lenses. It really is. It's remarkable. Not particularly cheap. I picked this lens up. It was renewed. Picked it up off of Amazon. I can't remember what I paid for it. Oh, it was about $1,000, just under $1,100. And when it came with the baggie, came with the caps, and the lens hood. And see if I can get it on right. I got it all backwards. There we go. Not a speck of dust. Of course, better not be any fungus. Nothing internally on the elements. Absolutely pristine. And not a mark on the outside of this thing. You'd swear it just came out of a brand new factory box. So I saved about, I think $200 on it. And that's worth it to me. So yeah, you can pick these up renewed, whatever. Is it worth the $200? Yeah, it is. This lens is mint. I cannot find one thing where it got hit, nicked, scratched. Crazy. I don't know how they can do that. I'm wondering if they're just taking them out of the box and selling them for a couple $100 under and sell them as a renewed status. Seriously. To me, it's worth saving a couple $100. All right. Lens hood has a nice feature. I like these. It has a locking button. So if you are going to be, let's say you're doing some street photography, right? Which is one of the reasons why I bought this, as well as landscape and close-in portraits. If this lens gets knocked around, the last thing I want is to lose the lens hood up the street somewhere and have somebody step on it and smash it into a million pieces. That's the nice part about having these Canon lens hoods that have the locking button on them. When you put these on, they lock into place and they don't come off. That's nice. Moving on. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now we're going to get over to the images. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll through some images, and I'll explain to you what the raw captures are. I did 3 steps. So I'll show you the raw capture. Now these are not necessarily raw captures. What I did was I converted them over to a maximum JPEG, all right, for showing purposes. And I'll show you one straight out of the camera, one edited in Topaz, which I did a light denoise and a very mild sharpening, and sometimes a color correction. And then I brought it into Nik Silver FX Pro to render the monochrome. And I was going for high structure in these images. So they are high structure, high contrast. All right, here we go. Okay, this is the first one. This is Big Branch. This was raw. This is the image that came out of the camera. And we will go to, this is the Topaz correction, a little bit of color correction, mild sharpening, and denoise. Now these were shot at f4, remember? And my focus point was like right in here. Okay. And we're going to go to the edit. So that's the edit. We're going to scroll in. Check this rock out right here when you see this. That's 100%. Doesn't it look like there's a some kind of dog howling in there or something? It's weird, isn't it? So there you go. That's that one. Let's move on. Okay, this is a close-up. This was 105 millimeters. Shot at f4. I think, no, I know it wasn't at f4. I had to stop down a little bit. So you can see this is much sharper. 105 millimeters. Give it a little tweak. That's pretty nice. Okay, we're going to go to the Topaz Correct. There's a correction in Topaz for color, mild sharpening, and denoise. And we're going to go to the edit. Pretty banging, right? I love how these rocks in the background are kind of out of focus. It's gone out of focus. Pretty cool. All right. Let's go to the tracks. So this is something I was concerned about, which I saw on a video somewhere. See the flare? And this was at, probably 24 millimeters. This was, and the sun was over here. It was coming in. So it just snuck in past the hood, and I got a nice big pop of flare right there. Kind of annoying. The lens is prone to flare, but you are talking about 24 millimeters. So there you go. And we're going to go to the Topaz Correct. Okay, there's a and this is not a finished correction. This is just a quick correction done. Now we're going to go to the monochrome. Where are you? There we go. There's the high structure monochrome. I like this here. The different tones in the mountain. Very cool. You can see the mountains are soft, out of focus. Focus point was like right in here. Okay. Now we're going to go to the cattails. Had some beautiful cattails kind of on the side of the railroad tracks when I was walking along. So this is the raw out of camera image. This is the Topaz correction. And this is the high structure crop. And I was shooting in a film simulation in Nik Silver FX Pro. Okay. Now we've got a portrait I did of my mother, 92 years old, and I wanted a low-key, high-contrast portrait of her, showing basically her age. And this was captured in window light. So this was, don't know the millimeter focal range. I think it was close to 105. I was sitting across the room. F4. And we're going to do, we're going to just go straight to what I did was I just brought this because this was so good. I mean, look at that. Look at the glasses. Now, here's one thing I wanted to mention, right? A lot of people balk at the fact that, well, it's an F4 and not an F2.8. She's sitting on the couch, leaning against the back of the couch. Look at the couch. It's out of focus. Look at this. It's all out of focus. That isn't far. At 105 millimeters, you do not need an F2.8. You don't. That's crazy. Look at the detail in that. All right, we're going to straight to the low key. Here we go. That's money right there, folks. That's killer. Bless her. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this was raw image captured. And let's go straight to the high structure. Yeah. Love the mountains right there. That's zoomed in a little bit in the same spot as before. Love the different tones. But this lens cranks, man. She's really, really nice. I love it. Okay, let's go to railroad tracks. Oh no, this is the railroad tie. So I was walking by, they had a stack of railroad ties here on the tracks. And what I did was I pulled focus right in here. Not right here, but I pulled focus. I wanted roughly in the center of the log, even though it's free space, just to see how it did. This is F4. This is with the topaz correction. You can see right in here. And let's see. Yes, this is the high structure. So that is through Nick Silver FX Pro. I wanted to grab the texture and look at the focus. That was my primary objective because everybody balks about the f4 aperture and how shallow or how distracting depth of field can be over the f2.8. Well, look at this. These things are on top of each other and they're blown right out. This is maybe 10, 12 inches away. So, and you can see it start to go out of focus all around here. See this? This is all out of focus. As you come into the center, it gets sharp. So, yeah, and I shot this purposely at an angle. All right, so here we go. Heading over to the mill. Okay, this is a mill, an old mill up the street, which isn't used anymore. And railroad tracks. I wanted to, this is basically a depth of field study on the lens with different focus points. So zoom in here. This is right out of camera. F4. We look at the brick in here. It's pretty good. Let's look at the tracks. Down in here, you can see this is out of focus. Not quite sure where. I think I pulled focus up in here somewhere. Look. Nope, that's out of focus. Where did I pull focus? Oh, it was close. Yeah, I can't figure it out. I wish I had the camera data. So anyways, I do know that that was wide open at f4. So we're going to go to the topaz corrected. So let's see what happens here. I think I may have focused on the mill on this over here. I'm pretty sure I did. Okay. Now we are going to go to the high structure, the edit. Love the sky. Love the depth. At the edges of the tracks right here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is completely out of focus out here. This is all a mess. So stop down probably to F8 without focus stacking, you know, full focus like right here on the brick, that and this would all be in focus. Like that shot, very cool. Railroad ties. Check this one. Okay, this is a shot of just the tracks. This is something I want you to see. So this was actually the very first one I took. So if you look in here, I got focus right in here. Right in here. That's really nice. You look at the right in here. You can see this is out of focus. And if you come back this way, so you can see the focus start to fall off. See this as it goes up? 2, 3 railroad ties. So F4, I wouldn't sweat it, man. I mean, look at the background. Going all fuzzy. This is at 24 millimeter. I can tell you that. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. See if I can find it again. Okay, that's the raw. This is the topaz corrected. Yeah, look at that. See how she starts going right out? Tack sharp right in here. Depth of field is not that broad. You'd think it would be at 24 millimeters, but it does fall off. That's what I was checking. This is the edit. Pretty cool, huh? Like this lens. I like it. So that's it for that. Just wanted to show some image samples. And I guess we'll be back with more. Not much science here, folks. Just having fun. Just showing you some stuff. And we'll catch you all later. Shoot happy. Shoot hard. In whatever light you can gather. See ya.